Hi, love. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you about the key to inner peace. This is something that has changed my life in such a positive way and the lives of so many people that I've worked with. Before I tell you exactly what it is, I want to tell you a story. So, back many years ago, I was building my yoga business. I was going about my life, doing all the things. And I remember coming to a point where I felt really drained and depleted, but I didn't understand why. I had been doing all the things that I thought I should be doing. I was taking all the steps. I was following my purpose and my passion. Yet I felt so low in energy. And at that time, I remember I took my first trip to Bali. It was in 2019, and as it happens in Bali, so many synchronicities started happening. I had met one person through a friend who led me to another person who led me to this woman. She is a healer in Bali, and I didn't really know so much about that world at the time and didn't really know what to expect. And when I came into her room, I sat down and didn't even say much. She took out a piece of paper. She drew a stick figure person on the middle piece of the paper and then a circle around it, and drew arrows going from the person outside the circle, and explained to me that when we are going about our days, when we are doing our things, we are giving so much energy outside of us. And that is causing that energy to leave the body. Even if we're doing things that we love, even if we're doing things that really excite us, it's still energy going outwards. Now, we also need to have the energy coming in towards us. And what she drew as well on the outside, I remember outside the circle, she drew also all these other people. And sometimes their energy is coming into us and affecting us in a negative way. And what she explained to me is like, girl, you need boundaries. And at that time, I was like, what are boundaries? It wasn't as talked about as it is today. But the way she explained it to me is that we need not walls, but we need the boundaries to uphold a level of protecting our peace. And she went on in this diagram. I won't go into too much more detail, but what I left with that session is I realized that the energy coming in towards me isn't enough. And that's why I started to feel depleted in my life. And the energy that I was also letting into my life wasn't the kind of energy that made me feel my best. And that's where boundaries come in. This is the key to inner peace. Now, we hear about it so often now, it's such a popular topic, but there's a different way that we can look at it to actually help us instead of having boundaries be these things that build walls and create distance from our relationships. And I'm going to share that with you today. So, the first thing I wanted to say is that saying no really isn't selfish. It's a sign of self-respect. When you say, no, this isn't for me, or I can't do this, or just a simple no without an explanation, it is respecting yourself. It's like you are advocating for a little child within you. And you can even imagine that little girl or that little boy at an age that they need someone to stand up for them, right? Now, that smaller version of you, they need someone to say, hey, no, this is what this child needs, and I'm going to protect that child. Now, I'm going to tell you the secret. No one, absolutely no one, can protect this younger version of you, this inner child, as good as you can. Even if you have the best people around you, and you should, no one can know you like you know you. No one can advocate for you as you can. No one can stand up for yourself, fight for yourself like you can. You have to be that person who's taking care and standing up for you first and foremost. And that is how we build the self-respect, we build self-confidence, we build self-esteem, because we always know that, hey, I have your back, I'm here for you, and I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to give this kind of power away to anyone else because I have you. And that leads into the first point, is how we respect ourselves is by knowing who we are. This is the big life question. Who are we and why are we here? You may have grown up being told who you are, being told what to like, what to do, what's going to make you happy, what's going to lead you to success. And maybe at some point in your life, you even did all those things and you realized, hey, something is missing. I'm actually not happy like I was told I would be. I'm having maybe the success on the outside, but on the inside, I don't have the peace that I really desire. This comes from knowing who you truly are and starting to uncover and pull out the pieces of who you are at your core and not who the world told you that you should be. This is a lifelong journey, of course, and I like to see it as unpeeling an onion. Every layer you get closer and closer to yourself, and every layer you start to shed away the parts and the pieces that were never you to begin with. And you start to feel better and better in your own skin because you're finally here who you're meant to be. You're finally are who you're meant to be. It's such a beautiful journey. And knowing who you are, it comes with figuring out what are your needs. What do you need as a person to feel happy, to feel nourished, to feel safe, to feel secure? What do you need in your health? What do you need in your relationships? What do you need in your career? What do you need in your environment to feel good? We are all so different and uniquely designed. I find it so fascinating that what I will be drawn to maybe will be very, very different to what you're drawn to and what makes you feel good. And the inner work is in trusting in what is good for you, what you feel drawn to, what you feel good around. You don't need an explanation. There may be, for instance, a person in your life that you, every time you spend time with them, you leave feeling drained and not really great. And it's not that that person is a bad person, and it's not that anything about them is wrong, but it just might not be the right fit for you. And that is perfectly okay. Whereas for someone else, they may fit perfectly with that person and feel energized. You have to know, what are your needs? What is it that makes you feel your best? And on that point, it's really about starting to, I like to call it a self-audit. This is something I do with my one-on-one clients. Starting to self-audit as you go throughout your day. How do I feel when I do this thing? How do I feel when I leave a conversation with that person? How do I feel when I do this kind of work versus this kind of work? And noticing the subtle cues in your body. Our bodies hold so much wisdom. It is wild. Actually, more of your body is sending signals up to your brain than your brain to your body. Your body knows already instinctively when something is or is not for you. And a lot of times what happens is that your mind starts to get in the way and starts to try to justify things or make sense of things or rationalize things. That is what I help you do in yoga, in meditation, and mindfulness, is to connect you back more to this beautiful body that you have that is giving you all this wisdom if you're willing to listen to it. Now, you may notice around a certain scenario that your whole body starts to go almost like inwards, it starts to close. This is a sign usually that it's not for you. Your body is repelling it even. Whereas in a certain situation, environment, or around certain people, your body starts to do this. It's like an opening and your energy starts to improve. This is a sign that this is for you, that this is something that feels good, that feels right. So this is just like a little intro into knowing what your body is asking for, what your body needs versus what is really not for it. And then the bigger work is in trusting that. I remember I asked a mentor that I worked with, I was like, can it be really that simple? Because my body is giving me all these clues and all these signs so clearly. Can it really be that simple? And she was like, yes, Jessica, it's really that simple. And I remember after that conversation, I made a pact with myself. I'm going to follow this. I'm going to follow all the little intricacies that my body is showing me and see what happens. And so much energy started to free up. I started to feel so good. And also, things just flowed way easier. Life just started to happen at a different pace. And it was like everything was suddenly attracting towards me on a much different level. So try this out and let me know how it goes. I'm so excited for you. Okay. And then the second part in this is accepting who you are. This is also our big life's work, is sometimes who we discover we are is not who we were taught to be, not who we were told we should be, and even sometimes not the part of us that is accepted in our current reality. I'll give you an example. Maybe you grew up to be told, I should be in the corporate world, I should be doing this kind of job, and I should be climbing the ladder. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you notice, this is so heavy on you, it's really draining you, it's really bringing you down, and something inside is telling you, this is not for me. Or there might be a different path that is in the corporate, but it's on a different kind of way. This is your body giving you signals. Now, leaving or changing that path, changing that role, and it could be just as simple as changing the environment or changing the boundaries you have within that environment. It's not that everyone in that current reality around you will accept that new version of you. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But accepting who you are means that you also accept that not everyone will like or accept this new version of you, this true version of you. And that in itself is about training the body for safety and regulating your nervous system. Excuse me. That's actually the next point that I wanted to mention, is being okay with not being liked. boundary setting, whenever we hear about it in a quick 60-second clip, we think, okay, I just need to communicate and say no to this, or I just need to stop doing this thing. Whereas there's so much more that goes into this, and a big part of it is being okay with the reactions of other people. Sometimes it can be really easy to set boundaries when it's, for instance, you've moved into a new hotel. This happened to me recently. You move into a hotel or an Airbnb that you booked, but actually when you arrive, it doesn't really look like the pictures, and it's not to the standard that you want and that you're used to. And you have to go to the owner and tell them, I'm really sorry, this is not a good fit for me. I need to leave, and how can we make this change? That, for instance, can be something that feels easier to do, setting a boundary in that way for your needs. Whereas setting a boundary with someone that you love, someone that you care about, a friend, a family member, a partner, that can be so triggering because you have emotions involved. There's so much love involved, there's so much care, and you don't want to hurt the other person. This theme about not being liked, it really takes inner work and healing your body to feel safe with the reactions of other people. In yoga, I call this holding the pose. It's when we are holding a certain pose and it's really not comfortable. And everything on the inside is like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I want to move. I want to get out. I don't want to stay here. But when you hold the pose and you regulate your body, you regulate your emotions, on the other side of that discomfort is your growth. Because if you're going to set boundaries, you need to stand firm in them. Boundaries are not, oh, like, yes, but maybe, oh, but like, if you don't like me, then maybe I'll change, or then I'll adapt, then I'll change things. No. Boundaries are to protect your peace. And when you set them, you have to be ready to stand firm in them, to hold the pose in them, even when the discomfort arises. This comes with regulating your nervous system, knowing yourself, and knowing your body. This is something I do in my coaching programs, in my Reiki healings. Check the description for all the info on that. And on that, on holding the pose, it's really that you're raising your standards with these boundaries on what you will and will not accept in your life. Whether it be someone treating you a certain way, whether it be the environment that you're in, whether it be the kind of work that you do. The boundaries are really there as a new standard for what you want for yourself, for the little girl or the little boy inside. You are rooting for them. Now, if you love that little girl, that little boy, you want them to have the very best. You want the highest standards for them. You want to make sure that they feel their best. And so when you start to set those boundaries, it's not that you need to go everywhere and start communicating them and saying, no, yes, no, yes. It's more of an energetic shift within you where you decide, I am no longer available for this. This doesn't work for me. I know what's best for me, and I'm going to choose that. And when you decide that, what happens energetically and on a spiritual level is those things are no longer attracted to you. Because everything in life, it's coming to you as a learning, as a growth, and because you are attracted to it on some level. So that boss that is really difficult, or that colleague that is impossible to work with, they are there as spiritual lessons. Whether you take those lessons is up to you, because you can keep going on and on in the same cycle and keep repeating, or you can decide for yourself, enough is enough. I want better for myself, and I decide I'm no longer available for this dynamic. I'm no longer available to feel drained or tired. I choose me. I love me. When you make this decision and energetically you shift things, those things on the outside start to change as well. And you'd be surprised at how quick this can happen. Because all of a sudden, the spiritual lesson has been overcome. It is done. It is complete. And it may, if your energy is not completely holding the pose, if it's not steady, that energetic lesson may still come back into your world in one way or another. It can be from a different person that looks different, but the same thing is happening. And sometimes that lesson is coming back just to check. Did you really learn it? Are you really done with this? And that's when, again, holding the pose is so important, because the universe is testing you. Everything on the outside is testing you. Are you ready? Are you really ready for what you asked for what you want? And your reaction in that moment, the way you show up for yourself, is going to reveal all. And it's less about the words that you say, but the energy that you hold and the actions that you take around that. Now, this can go so much deeper. I love, love, love talking about these things, because really everything around us is an energy. Everything here, we are here for our spiritual growth, our mental growth, our emotional growth, our physical growth, to really tune into the best versions of ourselves. It doesn't mean the best version of ourselves is the most perfect, but it's the most true to ourselves. It's who you're here and who you're meant to be. And that place is very peaceful, because you're not putting on an act. You're not wearing a mask. You're not trying to be anyone else. You are you, and you're here to be who you're meant to be. And that peace requires boundaries. Boundaries in the energy that you're giving out, boundaries in the energy that you're allowing in. And when you have healthy boundaries, that's when the balance comes in. For your mind, your body, your soul, everything starts to come into a better harmony. And that's where that inner peace actually lasts, beyond just a single yoga class or a single meditation. It becomes your life. I'm so, so happy that you stayed for this episode. I cannot wait to hear how this has supported you. Please leave it in the comments. Feel free to send me a message. I love hearing from you. And to work on this deeper, I do have coaching programs and Reiki healings. You can check everything in the description below. I can't wait to see you in the next one.